All right, we had our big meals. We had time with family. Now let's focus on the Iron Bowl.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with the Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend. We'll talk about our favorite Iron Bowl. We'll talk about maybe, hey, it's Black Friday. Everybody's looking for deals. What kind of deals could Auburn get in the transfer portal? But obviously, we need to lead today's show with the Iron Bowl predictions. I've said a few times throughout the week, I think Auburn wins this football game, Darrell, and I think they do it by running the football with Jarquez Hunter. I think they do it with Payton Thorne taking care of the football. And I think they do it to some extent of, you kind of hope that Jalen Milroe was the version of himself that we saw against Oklahoma a week ago. I think that if those three things happen, I think Auburn wins this game.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. I mean, I can't argue with any of that. It's just funny how we're going to be reversed as what we were last week on Texas A&M with our predictions. Listen, your points are valid. They make sense. They had me nodding when you were saying them. I could absolutely see that happening. I can see it happening. I just don't think it will happen. And I hate to be, I've picked Auburn a lot this year. For two reasons. I think Alabama wins 27-20 in a one-score game. I think for two reasons. Number one, the game being played in Tuscaloosa still matters. They haven't lost at home yet.
Right.
And Alabama has not played two dogs they haven't played two bad games back-to-back all year. Typically, when they win a game or lose a game, they come back and play really good the next week. If that trend continues, those two factors are why I think they win in a very close football game.
Yeah, my pick is emotional. I'm not going to shy away from that. My pick in this is an emotional one. We've seen Hugh Freeze put together game plans in these big games. Like, you can say what you want about the inability to close and all of that, but you look at Georgia and Alabama last year, you look at Missouri this year, you look at Texas A&M this year, like in these big games where nobody picked Auburn to win, they have stepped up. Like with the exception of Vandy, like Auburn hasn't really been out of it in any of these games, and they should have been. And a lot of these big games, they should have been over the last 2 years. But this staff has done a good job of elevating the scheme and the preparation based off of who they're playing. Is that frustrating when you almost beat a good team and then you lose to a bad team the next week? 100%. But we're talking about them prepping for a good team. And I do think that matters, Darrell.
I do too. And I will say this. I mean, this Auburn team, in my opinion, is better, even though the record doesn't indicate that. I think they're better. They're more talented than last year.
Don't you think people have kind of bought into that, even outside of Auburn, where it's this Auburn is weird? They've almost just like bought into that fact.
They look and go, how is this team 5-6? And, and I don't think Alabama is the same team they were last year, especially without Saban. So I get that. And then the dynamic of Alabama playing an Iron Bowl with 3 losses already is very foreign and weird to them. And then Auburn now having a chance still to have bowl eligibility, where if they would have lost last week, they wouldn't have, changes the dynamic of this game. It's why I think it's going to be closer than we both would have predicted maybe 3 weeks ago, or even going into the A&M game and going in. I mean, let's be honest. You thought Auburn, a lot of people thought Auburn get beat by AUM last week, A&M, not AUM, A&M last weekend, and that Alabama would beat Oklahoma pretty soundly. When those two things didn't happen, it changed the course of this Iron Bowl Saturday. I still think not enough, and Alabama wins in a squeaker.
Yeah. And I think the case you make is a solid one. I really do. I also think this goes back to, I think Auburn has the personnel to pull off the upset. It's just, how do we see it be used? And I'm talking specifically about Jarquez Hunter and Payton Thorne when it comes to running the football, the running game. I think Oklahoma proved it last week that you can run on Alabama. It was in Norman. It's a little different. You said it before, like Alabama's a much better team at home, as most teams are. But that was to talk about A&M when South Carolina kind of exposed them. Okay, South Carolina ran it all over. Both the quarterback and the running back had 100 yards. Similar situation with Alabama against Oklahoma last week. If you're this coaching staff, I hope there's no like overthinking involved in this. And I understand like the argument for it earlier in the year if you wanted to save Jarquez Hunter for the rest of the season. This is it. This is it. Like this could be Jarquez Hunter's last game. If they lose this game, it's Jarquez Hunter's last game as an Auburn Tiger. Give him 30 touches. Give Payton Thorne 6 to 8 rush attempts, design rush attempts, or if you want to call read option stuff or whatever you need to do, get him on the edge. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see what that looks like. Go all in, push all your chips to the center of the table and say, this is it. We've got nothing to lose. We're not the team with the pressure on it. That's all in Alabama. They don't want to be the first Alabama team in forever to have 4 losses. And to me, like if Auburn pulls this off, Tuscaloosa like freaks out, and they know it. Both Alabama knows it. Both Auburn knows it. And to me, the pressure is on Alabama. So this coaching staff, I think, needs to lean into that as much as possible.
Yeah, a couple other variables to play off of that. People can't underestimate the first time ever coaching in an Iron Bowl. There's not a lot of success.
Sure.
In first-year coaches when they coach their first game, winning that first game. It's happened some, but it's rare. And it's ironic that I would be saying this, and people will probably fall over, but we talk about the run game and the importance of the run game. But if Auburn is forced to pass and has to, Auburn has a better passing attack than Oklahoma does. Auburn's receivers, of course, Oklahoma's on their 5th receivers.
Today, that is true.
Today, that is true.
Right.
Auburn has a more proficient passing attack than Oklahoma. So if Alabama doesn't allow Auburn to run on them and adjust accordingly, stacking the box, fronts, that kind of thing, Auburn's a little bit more suited to adapt and adjust and get some plays through the air, because if you look at the stats, they have improved over last year. This Auburn quarterback, this Auburn receiving core, and this overall passing game is better than it was last year when Auburn played Alabama and Jordan Hare, period. So that helps.
Yeah. I mean, I think Auburn's better at everything this year than they were a year ago, except for special teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Alabama's worse at everything across. Like they were a better team a year ago than they are now. I don't think that's crazy to say.
It's not.
So
it's
we'll
not
see.
Crazy.
We'll see. And we all know how close it was. It being in Tuscaloosa, I think, is the biggest variable. I don't think it's anything else other than I think that is the biggest argument for why most people should pick Alabama, because they're so good at home. They're good at Bryant-Denny. They don't lose in Tuscaloosa, which I think in a weird way adds more pressure on DeBoer and Alabama, because there's just so much at stake. There's so much at stake in this game, and this is a fun one. This is a super, super fun one. And with all the crap talk all week, like this has been a fun Iron Bowl week. And a lot of that has to do with what happened this past Saturday, 100%. Yeah. But this is like, it's felt like a rivalry week. And I think that's all you can ask for.
I think behind the scenes, Auburn picking up some more momentum in recruiting too is added to the enjoyment and the fun of it as well.
Great point. Yeah. All right. So you said Bama 27-20. Mm-hmm. I'm saying Auburn 27-24. What do you think? Let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments. If you're listening on audio, let us know on social media. You guys know how to find us, or join the barn, auburn.com, and let us know there as well. Could Auburn get some deals in the portal? It's Black Friday. Everybody's looking for deals. We all got shopping lists. Hugh Freeze has one too. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time has you covered when it comes to buying tickets, Darrell, for anything. When it doesn't matter if it's sports or what sport it is, the concerts, the theater stuff, the comedy shows, they've got you covered. And I love the panoramic view from the seat. If you're unfamiliar with the venue, you can kind of essentially see, oh, this is what it looks like. And I think that's crucial because you know exactly what you're buying.
Especially if you're like trying to find tickets that are a higher demand at home, like Auburn basketball. And so you go, you know what? I still want to see them play. Let me go watch them on the road. Yep. You don't know what those arenas look like on the inside of them. So the panoramic views can show you exactly where your seats are. And I like, of course, the lightning deals a lot.
Yep. No question about it. So Head over to the Game Time app, download it for free in your phone's app store, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Darrell, what time is it?
Game time.
Yes. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Home Field Apparel. We love Home Field Apparel. And you talk about deals on Black Friday. They have you covered with all of the Black Friday deals. Home Field Apparel has officially launched their Black Friday sale. It's the most ambitious sale to date. They're 30% off site-wide. They're saying it's everything. They're saying it's on everything across the site. So, I mean, you talk about getting stuff ready for the folks, the Auburn fans, or any college fans. They've got more than just Auburn stuff in your life. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code BFCM24, BFCM24, and head over to homefieldapparel.com. Once again, it is BFCM24 from now until Tuesday, December 3rd, for 30% off site-wide at homefieldapparel.com. That is ridiculous. 30% off? That's crazy.
Huge.
That's crazy. Once again, homefieldapparel.com, BFCM24 is that promo code. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. It's Black Friday. People are out doing their shopping after hanging out with their families.
I hope so. That's a lost art. I missed that.
You missed Black Friday stuff?
No, I just missed more of the Christmas shopping, of being out and about and interacting with people, saying hello, saying Merry Christmas, saying, we do so much now from just our computers. And I get it, convenience, but it is fun to be out and hear Christmas music and interact with people. I
do think they're trying to push that a little bit more. There's a lot more in-store deals now than there used to be.
Well, and especially small businesses. I mean,
Sure.
It's a great way to support small businesses. And when people used to be in a good mood and you're out and it's Christmas and if colder, I like that. I miss that, but I'm a dork. So there you go.
You're not a dork. You're old-fashioned, but you're not a dork.
I am very much old-fashioned.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
I guess the Black Friday deal for Locked On Auburn is we dropped like 1 million shows this week. So there we go.
Absolutely covered it. I mean, we absolutely did. We had a lot of shows.
Yeah, there's going to be a 7-day span where we may hit 20 shows in a week, which is crazy. Exhausted.
And there's people with us along the way. We really appreciate them. Appreciate them.
No doubt. The show at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, there being 1,400 people there. It's just insane. I'm still not quite over that. All right, so portal deals. Hugh Freeze and this coaching staff, they're going to have to go into the transfer portal with, I think, a more extensive list than they would like to have, just being 100% honest. And it's going to be fun to see like how heavy they pursue some positions, because I do think there are going to be some positions where there's going to be a limit when it comes to spending, where they're like, we're just going to go young, because they could go young in any position. It's just, is it the best option? And they're going to have to have that discussion from a financial point of view, which I think is fascinating. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Darrell, you lead off our shopping list here when it comes to the transfer portal. I assume I know where you're starting.
So if I'm going out on Black Friday and I got my Christmas list, right at the top of the list is the quarterback position.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's the must-have.
Let me ask you this, because we all agree that Auburn's going to get a quarterback. Is at the top of the list, is it just quarterback, or is it starting quarterback, backup quarterback, or is it quarterback and then there's like a ×2 next to it? What specifically does that bullet point look like?
Program changing quarterback.
Oh. So just one quarterback, though.
I would get two, but in that two, you better, if depending on what happened in the quarterback room now, but you better at least have one that can immediately come in and play next year, is a program type changer and has had a lot of success and impact at another program before coming to Auburn. That's the first wish list. It's the the must-have gift of the year. There always is one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's the thing that the parents say you got to open that one last.
Yeah, I mean, ours are different. What was yours when you were a kid? Do you remember growing up saying this is everyone would sell out and have to have it? It was probably video game systems, wasn't it?
There's a lot of gaming consoles that I got on Christmas, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So quarterback should be at the top of the list. Number 2, left tackle. I don't think that's crazy to say that should be right up under it. And some of that is going to be interesting to see. Like Dylan Wade has another year. What do they do with that? But offensive tackle needs to be a priority. Now, I will say I'm not as down on this offensive line as a lot of people are. I don't think this offensive line is near as bad as the way people talk about it. I think there's a lot of issues with the offense. And so you can't just point to one thing. But with all that being said, you need to go out and get a left tackle. And your approach needs to be different than it was a year ago, because we all thought you nailed it with Percy Lewis. And they thought they nailed it too. That's why he was not, he did not come here for cheap. And so they've got to kind of, I think, self-assess themselves of like, how did we miss this? And what are we looking for that's different this go round? So the left tackle pursuit is going to be interesting.
Absolutely. I thought it was nailed. I thought the problem was solved. I thought
everybody did.
Thought he was a plug and play guy. I heard from other offensive linemen that played at Auburn before that said he was a second or third round pick.
You had Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl saying like, this guy's different.
Yep.
This guy's going to be a staple in Mobile for the draft process. And this didn't work.
Got to have a left tackle. Got to protect whatever quarterback it is you go get in the portal.
Yep.
That being said, I agree with you as far as the offensive line getting much maligned. They have done a really good job with creating running lanes in the running back. You remember what it was like when Tank Bigsby would get the ball always, and it seemed like he was getting hit 2 or 3 yards in the backfield. You have to make someone miss. That no longer happens. Auburn's had some running lanes, so give them credit for that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they've been fine. I don't think they've been great, but I think they've been fine. So, all right, who's next on your list?
I want a middle of the defensive line elite run stopper guy. I want a guy that, obviously can eat up double teams, can push the pocket a little bit on the quarterback, but it's a really effective clog up the middle run stopper. Auburn hasn't had a lot of success. Jason Jones and Bleedy have helped, but there's been some misses along the defensive line, and Trill Carter and Gage Keys to me are misses, and they're just not contributing.
Don't even notice them.
Yeah.
Don't even notice them.
Not contributing. So I'd like to see that interior defensive lineman go out and get one that, is really, really good and that can help solidify that front.
Yeah. No,
I'm good with the edge guys and the outside guys. I think Auburn's returning some elite ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously you feel good about Keldrick and, his brother's going to be coming in. Crawford. Yeah. Kieran Crawford. Yep. Sure. Then you've got guys like Amaris Williams and, Joe Phillips should take a step forward. Like, you've got both guys who have done it and guys that should be able to do it, which is always a nice combination. So yeah, I agree with those three for sure. There's I think there's one other position, and there's really several, but we'll jump into why I think this one is extremely important, as well as our favorite Iron Bowl memory. I've been told that Darrell's that yours is hilarious, so I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Auburn 11.5-point dog in the Iron Bowl. Based off of the score predictions that we both gave earlier in the show, we think Auburn plus the points is still the way to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would think that Auburn and the points is the way to go, regardless of my prediction, your prediction. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, plus 11.5. We'll take it. Hey, right now, new customers at FanDuel can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you hit on that first $5 bet. That's over at FanDuel.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Hey, for your second listen, Jake Crane of Crane & Company, that show will drop this afternoon. So we're back to normal. We're back to normal as far as 2 shows a day. So be sure to check that out. I think Auburn's going to need a running back. And I think this is going to be a position group where I think they're going to be able to get some value out of. I think there's a strong chance that they'll look maybe at a smaller program and say, hey, we're going to roll the dice. You've been exceptional at where you've been, and we're going to kind of bring you on and give you a chance to have the job. I can't shake the feeling there's going to be some turmoil and turnover. I guess turnover is probably the better word. Turnover in this position room. And I don't know, like, if it's Damari or Jeremiah, but I just get the hunch that at least one of them leaves. I can't explain it. This is what my gut says, Darrell.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that's why I think Auburn I believe Auburn will add another running back in the recruiting class to go along with Alvin Henderson.
Yes.
There will be one running back returning that's in the room right now, with one leaving, is my prediction. Okay. And then you go out and get a portal running back to replace that person, and you're pretty set in the running back room. So, yeah, you want to have 4 quality SEC backs. And if 2 of those are freshmen, you're really rolling the dice. So that's why you probably go out and get that portal guy that's got some experience under his belt.
Yeah. If you can get older guys, make the pitch of like, hey, you've done it at a lower level of competition. Come do it in the SEC for one more year. Hopefully we get you to the league. And then you just hope you keep Damari or Jeremiah. I don't see a world where you keep both, which is a total bummer, but we'll see. And gosh, I hope I'm wrong. But I agree with you. I think there'll be 2 freshmen, 2 running backs in this class for sure. So we said quarterback, left tackle, defensive tackle, and running back. And
you want to know one that's intriguing that people may have their own opinion. Does Auburn go get a kicker in the portal?
That is interesting.
Because McPherson's unknown about his health. Magoo's unknown about performance.
Yeah.
Now, if Vashon kicks a 53-yarder to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, maybe you don't. But
right.
But that's an area that you might have to wait and see what happens with health reasons, and then may have to go grab one.
Yeah, maybe so. That is interesting. All right, favorite Iron Bowls. Mine is 2013. I will always remember where I was, who I was with second row of fraternity seating and block seating, like rushing the field. I will never forget that moment. 2013. I mean, favorite Iron Bowl moment might be my favorite sports moment ever. And I don't ever see that really being topped.
Yeah. I mean, I feel horrible that I'm going to tell you mine and why it's mine and not use 2013. We had adopted our son, and it was the first weekend he was with us, was Iron Bowl, was the kick 6. So he probably, the hooting and the hollering and the screaming, he probably didn't know what to expect. But sure. I shared this story with Jacob Goins Wednesday afternoon. He thought it was funny. You may not. Our listeners may not. My favorite Iron Bowl memory is 1982, Bo over the top, stopped the streak. I wasn't even living in Alabama. I wasn't around. I was living in Arizona at the time. And we used to do a swap. We did an apparel swap. Speaking of home field apparel, we did. So people that I had relatives and family that lived here, and we would send them Arizona merchandise, and they would send us Alabama or Auburn merchandise. And in 1981, I told them to stop sending Alabama merchandise. I didn't want to wear Alabama Crimson Tide stuff anymore. I wanted Auburn stuff. So I went to school as an 8th grader before the Iron Bowl wearing my new proud Auburn t-shirt, and got picked on and teased by an Alabama fan who was ruthless, brutal. I watched that Iron Bowl with my dad like it was my life depended on it.
Sure.
Auburn wins, Bo over the top, and I absolutely went back to school that next week and abused that kid. Found him, tracked him down, wanted to know what he thought. I mean, because he was kind of, he was really, really rude about it, saying nasty things about Auburn. I don't even know why he was an Alabama fan all the way out there in Arizona. But it meant so much to me for Auburn to stop the streak, for me to actually be pulling for Auburn in the second year of me rooting for them, and the fact that I got to have a little payback and keep the receipts. And I wore that shirt to school that next week multiple times and rewatched it, kept watching it again, and trying to find this kid. So
that's great.
It's a weird one, but it jumps out to me as my favorite one. It was the first one, and it was my favorite one.
That's a good one. That's a good one for sure. What's your favorite Iron Bowl memory? Let us know in the comments down below. All right, Darrell, next time we chat, it will be after the game. So be sure.
Twice.
Yeah, we'll go live right after, and we'll still drop a show Sunday morning as well. So please like the video. Please subscribe, and we'll be back then. And there will be a show this afternoon with Jake Crane of Crane & Company as well. Till then, this has been Locked On Auburn.